Welcome to this week's episode of the Wine and Cheese Show, episode 9. How you doing this week, David?
Not too bad.
Yep, me too. Nothing like some cheese and some vintage 2019.
What's going on?
What's going on here?
What's going on here? We done rehearsals, and what are you two doing with the cheese and the wine?
What wine?
That cheese and that wine. And you're playing with me vision mixer.
Out, you two.
Out!
Come on.
Get out! Go on, bugger off! Bloody cheeky sods, eh?
Oi. Mate. Well, that's been an interesting start to the show this week. Welcome everybody to this week's show, show 9 of Wine and Cheese, and it's been an interesting week. Everybody coming out of hibernation, Phil. I think they're all learning to drive again. I'm surprised there hasn't been great big L plates on all of the cars, because
it's been pretty crazy, the traffic out there.
they're doing 10 kilometres an hour over the limit. Where are they in a hurry to go to? Half the places are still closed. They're rushing to go nowhere.
Although, is it tomorrow where everything's back to normal magically?
Well, it's. I don't think it's going to be normal, Phil.
100. You can do 100 now. We can have 100 people in this studio. Wouldn't that be fun?
It'd be a bit cosy.
It would be cosy. Lucky it's winter.
So it's an interesting week, and it's good to see it's happening, actually. Anything interesting in your world, Phil?
Well, funny you should mention this, because this is literally hot off the press. This only has just come off the teletext.
From your country correspondent?
It's from our country correspondent in York, in West Australian wheat belt town. And it says 4 people were taken into police custody following a bizarre incident in the WA wheat belt town of York on Friday morning.
Well, I find that bizarre because I didn't think there was 4 people in York. But there you go.
Yeah, I think it's about 5 or 6 actually.
Right,
but
right, yeah.
About 8 a.m, members of the New Westralia, an organisation claiming to be a legitimate sovereign authority acting in the interests of the people native of the dependencies of West Australia, broke down the door of the historic courthouse and took up residence before police arrived and made arrests.
Sounds a bit like the People's Front of Judea to me, to be honest.
No, he's over there. Splitter. A still from the video shared by the New Australia members showed the historic courthouse door being forced open. A still from the video shared by the New Australia members shows the historic... You put that in twice.
I'm sorry.
Bloody hell, you just can't get good editors these days. A series of live videos shared on Facebook show the door of the National Trust building, which was built in the 1840s, being smashed, and the alarm prompting the attention of a local security guard. Referring to their actions as a peaceful protest, which I don't really fathom when you break a door down.
Well, it was only built in 1850 something or other.
40s.
I mean, what did that door do to them?
Well, it didn't keep them out, did it? 2 men are shown praying before their sit-in and apparent attempt to declare a sovereign nation, which was interrupted by police. Bloody police, they're always interrupting things, aren't they? As a Christian nation, West Australia, New West Australia, strives to be a world-class destination for spiritual vitality, enlightenment, meditation, wonder and expression on the great adventure of life, the group's website reads.
Well, Phil, I've got to say, I think they're lacking cheese. Because, you know what,
Hang on.
Oh.
Prior to breaking into the old courthouse, the small group raised their own flag, which appeared to have similarities to the St. George's Cross, to replace the satanic Australian flag. Throughout the group's attempts to establish themselves as the proper governing body of the law of Western Australia, one of the members posted to social media, "I don't have time to answer questions as we are under siege at the current moment in York, Australia, and staying strong in our court. Please do your research as much as possible, good people. I can only show you the way. We must all attempt our own escape, and everything is in play to do so. Trust me." 3 men and 1 woman were expected to face court in Northam on Friday afternoon on charges including criminal damage, trespass, obstructing police, and being bloody twats.
Well, I gotta tell you,
What else can you say?
I'm stunned.
I wonder whose idea that was. I know what we can do Friday.
Well, they obviously couldn't go to the court in York because it's got no sodding doors.
Well, no, you couldn't be locked out, could you?
This is their problem.
What's that?
Cheese board.
Oh.
June the 4th was International Cheese Day. They obviously didn't do that because they'd be a lot more mellow like us. I don't know if it was the cheese or the wine. But we're doing our bit for International Cheese. Well, we have been.
Mate, we have done so much for the local cheese industry. One week we had to tape 3 different segments during a week to make it all work, and it cost us $30 in bloody cheese.
I know. Well, if they'd spent that, they wouldn't have had enough to be able to get to York to go and smash the door down. But anyway, we've got a nice peppercorn this week. We've got a nice Dutch Gouda because it's Gouda than the other cheese.
Oh, yeah.
And a bit of cheddar and some other thing, smoked something or other. I found it really hard to smoke. I couldn't light it. But that's all I've got to say about International Cheese Day film this week. But it got my week off to a fine ending, and I'm sure I'm going to have some more before the night's out. Perhaps they should have had some cheese, Phil. That's all I can say.
All right. Now, I shouldn't speak with my mouth full, but over the last few weeks, you guys have heard us talk about friends of ours in the entertainment industry that when COVID happened and everything was shut down, the biggest group that this hit was the entertainment industry. That these people suddenly had nothing. Not only could they not earn a living, musicians have it in them that they have to play. You know, they have to, it's just what musicians do. And they've had no support whatsoever. They didn't qualify for Job Seeker. They didn't qualify for Job Keeper. They were really kicked to the gutter by the government, right? And that really shits me because when people need entertainment and stuff, that's who they turn to.
Quite often. I mean, how many times is music used in a political campaign or
at a rally?
At a rally or all sorts of things. And I mean, it's not just music, it's dance groups. It's calisthenics associations. It's artists of one form or another all over the place that have been some of the first to lose their income. Tourism is another major thing, and
tourism is a big one, but I don't think it's as big, to be honest.
I think the impact is different. The social impact of music and entertainment is
Music's
often
the
bigger.
soul of life.
Yeah,
really,
and
isn't it?
it's it's in that little cafe that you go in, and it's in the restaurant and the bar and the pubs and things like that. And I got sent a survey late last night, and it's got to be in tonight. So most people that watch this, it'll actually have already passed. But the Live Performance Australia have been collating information about the impact of what's been going on around, and they had put in a submission to the government about a recovery package. And I think what's happened, and has been obvious very quickly, is that what they initially asked for just simply wasn't enough when they've delved into the cost of things. And there's lots of businesses like ours that are not directly, you might say, entertainment, but we support the entertainers. We support them with CDs and DVDs and USBs and filming work and all of that kind of
PAs,
stuff.
sound mixing.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff comes into it, and there are lots of other businesses. And I think this is what's happened. As LPA have got information fed back to them, all of a sudden they've realised that the money that we were proposing is not enough, and it's not enough by a country mile.
Yeah, but these people got nothing. They got no unemployment benefit.
No.
They didn't get anything. And
Some
they
people that were set up as
and
companies may have...
It really bugs me because, these people get, excuse my language, but these people get fuck all anyway. That they'll go to, I won't name it, but a casino in town and do a 3-hour gig for $250. They have to pay for their parking. They're not allowed to go to the loading dock to unload their stuff. They have to lug it all the way through for $200, $350, and then that all stopped as well. And
I think there's
crazy.
I think it's a very complex problem. In the entertainment industry, what's happened over the last probably 10 years or so is there's been a lessening of respect for the art, generally. This is how I see it. You get music, any kind of music you like, across the net for virtually nothing. So how can you value what you actually see?
yeah,
If you're used to taking something for nothing, it has no value. Well, I got to tell you, there's hundreds of musicians in this town that I value over almost anybody.
Western Australia has some, after doing 106 episodes of The Profile, not growing up here, I didn't know these people. And what I came to realise was that there is immense talent on the west coast of Australia, immense talent that's just not recognised.
No. Hopefully, something that will come out of this whole experience is that a lot of the bands and a lot of the artists will go, you know what, I'm worth it. You want us to perform at your venue, this is what we're asking for.
Yeah.
Quite often at the moment, they get less than the security guard on the door.
I know,
head.
it's unbelievable.
And yet that security guard is getting the job because of the entertainment.
Because
in
the band's
venue.
there, yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully what will happen is that there's time for a bit of recalibration. People can look at it and they
I
can go,
hope so.
you know what? We have to start valuing these performers and these artists
Yeah.
and the crews that go with them and the lighting designers and the
Yeah.
sound operators,
Yeah.
the PA designers,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
It has to be valued or
Yeah.
else we're going to lose it. And, you know, you have a wedding and you can't have a band in there. You know, you go to see a show in town and there's no music in the show. Imagine what that would be like without these people that are giving their all. I think it's time that it is recognised. It used to be in the 80s. Some of the bands earned,
It used to be.
really
And,
good money. They were working hard.
They're not demigods or anything, but they do need to be respected
Yeah.
for what they do.
Like anybody that is good at their craft, they should be respected for what they do. So let's see how it goes. The recovery package that these people are putting in, there's several sectors to it. So there's an area to help workers in the industry. There's another area where they're looking at investment money for retraining, improvement of things and stuff like that. There's an innovation component. Well, it's one of the most innovative industries out there anyway, but people are going to need help to innovate. The Australia Council itself has been pulled into it, hopefully that they can get increased funds so that they can spread that around to people. And also there'll be an area for the consumer, so that so that they can market to the consumer to help reconstruct the industry and get some acknowledgement out there for the way it's going to be. So, and there may be things like discounts for going to venues and seeing acts or shows or theatre shows or this kind of thing. So it's a very comprehensive package. I think the results that they're getting from the surveys have been a real eye-opener for everybody. I mean, the tragedy is, Phil, that even now I'm still hearing about people that are committing suicide.
Yeah.
They've got to the end of their tether.
Yep.
And that is a disgrace. That's all I got to say.
A disgrace. It's a fucking tragedy.
Yeah. We're losing people that have contributed to our society in Australia. That is sad.
And we'll leave that at that, because what else can we say? These people have given their hearts, their souls, their time, their petrol to get so much shit these guys have given, guys and girls, I'm saying, and they've been treated like shit through this COVID thing, and it's just not right, and we're losing friends from it, and it's not good. So, Australian government, pull your finger out, because next time you have an election hoo-ha, who's going to play the music for you?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Get out of that mud puddle. Get out of that mud puddle. Peanut, if you don't get out of that mud puddle. I don't have a towel to dry you off, and you're all mud. No! Get out of there. Get out of there. No, no, no. Peanut, no. What am I going to do with you? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Help.
Joining us now is our great friend Rod Christian. Hey, Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Hey, Phil. How you going, mate? Hi, Phil.
Good. So, Rod, you've been very busy while in this shutdown isolation phase that we've been going through for the last couple of months, and you've got a bit of a hidden side to you, haven't you? Apart from being a composer and a musician and a bass player and a guitarist and a keyboard player and a sometimes vocalist.
In between school teaching.
Yeah. You've also got a fascinating hobby, haven't you, really? Or is it an obsession?
Oh, well, it's a bit of both. Well, as you know from the profile when I was interviewed there, I talked about telecom. It used to be the PMG. And when I went to sit for the exam, they went, join telecom or the PMG as it was then. You will travel the world. you'll use space-age equipment and you'll meet lots of people. Well, you know where I ended up? On a ladder in Pier Street Telephone Exchange with a pair of pliers and a set of goggles and a soldering iron. So from that point, you know, the only good part was I was already building amplifiers for people and loving old telephones. It was just a hobby that my dad was working in the West and they had these intercoms.
Yeah.
And remember they used to send messages via those vacuum things?
Yeah.
Well, I was fascinated by these phones, these dictographs. And they were intercoms. They didn't go to the main exchange line. They were intercoms virtually. And you might have 150 in one building. And they had massive amounts of cabling. And I mean, it was a huge job. Most people used to rent them off Lamps and Engineering. Anyway, I would have been 14 when I started collecting these things. And you used to be able to go to WA Salvage and buy them for $1 each because they were trashing all these offices.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I got really carried away and I bought about 4. But at the present count, I've got 41.
41.
And I'm still collecting the bloody things.
So have you got a couple there that you can show us so people have got an idea of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll just swing you around. Hang on. Here we go. Right.
Oh, wow.
I absolutely, I'm out the back here at my place actually fixing one of the really old ones I just bought.
How
I
old
bought a
is
couple
that,
online.
Rob?
They sell for about $500
How old are
each. This particular one here, on the base, I'll just show you, I'll move my bottle of beer. On the base here, I was really wrapped because someone had printed. I'll just see if I can get up there. 2nd of March, 1940. See that?
Oh, wow.
1940.
Yeah, but that's pretty old. Look at the old oak. And yet this one here is 1935. See,
Wow.
you can tell by the shape of this. The handset is different to the later model, which is that.
And
So
were
if
the
you've got one
handsets
this
made
old,
out of Bakelite?
You're sitting on a pretty good phone.
Were the
And what I
handsets
like
made
about
out
these,
of
I'll come back.
Bakelite?
Pardon?
Were the handsets made out of Bakelite?
Yeah, they were. So the person in the office would go, right, I need to ring so-and-so. If you've still got the nameplate there, they're worth more money.
Wow.
And this
Wow.
one has, see that? Someone's written on it. This one over here, you can see all the technical stuff. That one's got the original printout, look. See that?
Oh, wow.
Mr. What? It's got here, when I get the camera right, Mr. Warwick, Mr. Turner, stock and costs, dispatch. Look at that.
Oh,
So
wow.
That's awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. The only other thing I'm going to show you is just quickly how it works. You'd be in the office and you wanted to ring Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. You'd put the switch down and you go here and you press the red button.
Right.
And when you hang up, that's where the receiver normally hangs up. I'll press that, watch. The switch goes off. There's another set of people on the top level. And if you do it on a phone that's made up, I'll show you. Oh, that one's not brilliant. This one might be better. I'm just going through these and organising. See, that stays down. When I hang up, the switch goes off. Also, these people can they can talk to each other. But if this light here goes on,
Wow.
you've got to stop talking and answer it because that's the boss. That little white light.
That's
So
fantastic.
you're telling jokes in office time, you soon get picked up. Now, the other fascinating thing is the more value on these is if they've still got the old cabling. Look at that.
Wow.
So that would have been there's the telecom out to that's the one out to the people in the building.
Yeah.
And this original, that braided cable, that's years old. See how that's terminated onto there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that they're soldered there?
Yeah, they're soldered. Now, I got lots of experience in PMG. I went to the tech school and learnt how to maintain these phones and fix them and that. But they weren't this; they were the old dial phones.
Wow.
And I bought one of these out of my collection to show you. Look at this one.
Oh,
That's from a farmhouse down in the southwest. Well, it would have been 1900s.
Wow.
Look at it. How good is that? When
actually,
you-
Rod, my cousins in outside of Kojonup had one of the first local exchanges. They used to get calls there. They had the first post office as well, and all the other farmers would go there to get their phone calls.
Well, you know what happens? These were on party lines. You can, if I get the screwdriver, look, you can hear the old sound of the bells. Look, remember that?
Yeah.
And what happens is you used to wind this handle here. See the handle?
Yeah.
See that handle on the side? You'd ring that really fast, and there's a whole lot of farms on the same line. So if you rang it twice, that was the person 2 houses down. And if you didn't hear it ring, it rang more than your number of rings, you didn't pick it up. But everyone used to kind of listen in. so if you're sitting there listening to all the gossip, it was worse than a confessional in the church.
So people were doing conference calls 100 years ago.
Oh, well, exactly, yeah. But these office phones, they really intrigue me. They're made by Lamson Engineering in Croydon, Surrey, in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I often import them on eBay. They're quite expensive to bring over by post, but if you can get a bargain, I've got some real bargains. I just got 4 of these from an auction in Victoria for $90.
Oh. Well, how many
I'll
people
show you
collect
on the
them?
screen. There used to be. There's an even bigger model than this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 8 times 2. That's a 16-line system.
Wow.
You could have up to about 40 in a building, even 100. They just used to stack them.
Wow.
And, it was a pretty efficient way of talking because it was private to the other listeners unless they both coupled the keys together. So if you had a nice-looking girl upstairs, you'd go, oh, I'm going to talk to Val. And you go, hey, Val, it's me. She'd say, well, what? She'd say, why is that switch down as well? Oh, that's just me mate listening in. She'd say, get lost. She could hang up.
That's brilliant. So one of the other things that you've been doing is you've been writing some music lately, and
Yep.
I've heard that amongst the stuff that you've been doing, you've been working on a really good suite of music based around Uluru.
I heard a little bit of it the other night, Rod, and
Did you?
I was absolutely blown away. Mate, what you have composed touched my heart, mate. It brought a tear to my eye. Well done.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's kind of one of these things I get. I get these inspirations at weird hours of the night. And it was 4 a.m. and I raced downstairs and said to my wife, I've got to go and write something down. And I had this thing finished in a month. But that was only the first movement. And then I recorded it all on my East-West, which instead of paying for an orchestra, it's too much. You can now buy this really great software from America. And it is virtually the Los Angeles Philharmonic sample. So I wrote the whole thing, 58-piece orchestra.
Wow.
Then I got 3 really good singing artists to come in and do each part, and then I doubled up and tripled up. And it's enough for people to hear what I envisage on stage. It really needs about 100 voices and a full orchestra.
It was so
I've now
haunting.
completed movements. I've just sent Mark movements 2 and 3, and he's been doing a bit of editing, which is brilliant. And in turn, we're going to try and get this done by the Festival of Perth. I'm going to involve Mark in some of the videoing.
That's fantastic. You know, it was so heartfelt. You really captured the spirit of Uluru.
Well, it's funny, Phil, because I haven't been there, but I was booked to go in April. And from what I've heard from all these people and watched videos of it and read extensively about the language, I kind of got the idea what it would be like. And then to test it out, I gave it to our friends and they took their four-wheel drive to Uluru and they put it on the quadraphonic sound in the car and they reckon it worked.
I can't wait to actually see it in its full glory. What we're going to show people now is just a little bit of all of the setup work that Rod has done and a bit of a snippet of the actual track.
Can't wait.
It's absolutely brilliant, Rod, and good luck in getting the whole thing up and recognised for what it is. And just very briefly as well, you wrote another song for WA that got a bit of an airing earlier this week.
Yeah, but back in 05 I wrote it, but it's taken me all this time to get, an idea together where I suddenly thought with the COVID-19 happening, I got a virtual choir to sing it. And it worked. It's on, if you go to my webpage, www.rodchristian.com on YouTube as well, Rod Christian on YouTube, you can see it and hear it.
Fantastic. We'll put that address up.
Yeah, we'd recommend everybody that you go and have a look at Rod's webpage, have a look at some of the stuff he does. He's a prolific composer.
He's amazing.
Always doing stuff. It's fantastic to see that you've got the energy and the passion to do it, Rod. So thank you very much. And cruising as well. So thank you very much for explaining to us a bit about your hobby and your more serious side of your composition and stuff like that. Everybody go and have a look. We'll play you a snippet of it now and then go and investigate further some of the stuff that Rod's done. It's very inspiring.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, Mark, can you have a cheese for me and I'll have the drink?
All right. Thanks, mate.
All right, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, Rod.
Take care, you guys.
Take care, mate. See ya.
You
Bye
too,
for now.
mate. See you, mate.
What an amazing guy.
Shall I go off now?
Yeah,
That's right. We
thanks,
can
mate.
catch you now.
crossing the landscape to follow their dreams. The Alamu people, this place they understand. True karma, the stories of this land, singing their songs, wandering the sands, telling their myths of the dreams I'm along the endless sunrise.
Good boy. You made it.
So today we're going to do a bit of a follow-up with Uncle Chris, Phil.
Uncle Chris in
And-
Birmingham.
Yeah, because the
Peaky
blue tits
Blinders.
the blue tits has been a bit of a tragedy, but there may be an explanation, I think. So what we're going to do is cross over to Chris, and he can tell us what's going on.
Chris, how are you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm fine. I've got a poorly leg, but apart from that, you know, I've got to have it off because I've got a part in Treasure Island.
Oh, I was
And
going
I'm
to say,
playing Long
don't
John
we all?
Silver. But, yeah, what happened with the blue tits is, we think, because both parents were feeding them and they weren't starving. There's plenty of grubs and insects about. So earlier this week, I read about this disease that they brought up with them from sub-Sahara called pneumococcal infection, bacteria.
Wow.
and it's like they get pneumonia.
So it's a
It's
COVID.
almost like coronavirus to the birds.
Oh, wow.
Last year, we had quite a lot fledge, but this year, out of the 11 eggs, only, I think it was 10 hatched, and only 2 actually fledged.
Well,
So
that's the thing,
it's been a
Chris,
bit of
isn't it? Is
disaster
that you
this
had
year.
14 of these birds, and they started dropping down in numbers quite rapidly, and we couldn't work out why.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you got down to 1?
No, we got down to 2.
2.
We were on 2 birds right at the very end, and they both fledged. But we don't know whether they've lived, because, I mean, the predation rate with blue tits is very high.
What does that
But
mean?
we had 11 eggs, and actually 10 hatched. Yeah.
Right.
Now I'm going to show you a bit of the garden as well. So there's plenty of everything for the birds to hide in, and to get all the grubs off.
You got a
And
beautiful
feed
garden.
off. Yeah. So, but what I'm going to do is show you where the nest box is. Now you see this rose here.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see the rose? Well,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
actually it's tipped it down with rain, so it doesn't look so good now. But right underneath here, yeah. Well, right underneath the rose bush, I'm going to climb underneath.
Okay.
Clear here. That would have been all sealed up, and that's where they went in and out, that hole. So it's been a bit of a tragedy this year with them.
How many do you normally
We've got
get?
plenty of. Pardon?
How many
do we normally
get?
have? Well, last year we had 11 eggs, 9 hatched, and then I think most of them fledged. But this year we've had a real tragedy with the eggs. You know,
What does fledged mean?
I mean, they've got plenty
Chris?
of food.
Sorry? What does fledged mean?
I can't hear you.
What does fledged
Oh,
mean?
when they leave the nest.
Right, fledgling.
Yeah, they fledge. They leave the nest and they fly off.
Okay.
Well, we had normally about 6 to 8 would leave the nest.
Right.
They would fly off. But this year it's been really bad, and it's been at night when they've died, and we thought it was the cold.
Yeah.
Because once they'd hatched out, we had a really cold spell. But then later on, we read about this this pneumonia that they were bringing with them. It's a sort of a viral pneumonia.
Wow.
And a lot of the birds coming in from Africa have brought it with them, even the swallows and the swifts.
Wow.
You see, but it affects the blue tits more because they're such small birds.
Yeah.
You know, they're tiny little things. No, we had another one before him, but he disappeared into the shrubbery.
Oh, the shrubbery.
You know, into the ground cover. So we couldn't photograph him or video him. But the other one managed to get out onto the grass or the lawn. Well, it's grass really, not a lawn. And we videoed him running around.
Yeah. It was
But he
good.
disappeared into the shrubbery in the end.
Right. Right. So, how long will I mean, is this a 6-month cycle? Will they be back in 6 months to start the cycle again?
Oh, no, it's 12 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll be back next spring,
Right.
and we'll have all the box ready for them. We'll have it disinfected.
Well, thanks for the
It's,
update on this, and you'll be happy to know if you were still in Perth. Tomorrow, all of the beauty salons are open again, so you can go and get your hair done.
Oh, get my coiffeur done.
You could. Perhaps we could find somebody and send them over to you.
I like it.
What, my hair?
Yeah, you look like
Well,
you're being
it's,
pulled through a hedge backwards.
To be honest, Phil would like any hair.
So I have actually been into the hedge, and I have come out backwards. Yeah, it was the rose hedge.
As long as you didn't get too many prickles.
Yeah, I'm back in the lounge now, so I can hear you a bit better.
Right.
It's 8 degrees here, by the way.
Wow. What time is it?
Yeah, and it's around about, it's 25 past 10 in the morning, and I know in Perth it was 23 when I looked, because I looked to see what the time was, because I've got Perth time and your weather on my mobile phone.
Excellent.
So I have a look and see what the weather's like in Perth, and I get a bit annoyed because you got better weather than us.
Yeah, and it's meant to
And
be
this
your
is
summer.
our summer.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, what's happening with COVID over there and distancing and all of that stuff?
Well, we're still in
are you up
lockdown,
to?
but they are easing now.
Right.
As of last Monday, you could have visitors to your house, but only in the garden. They couldn't come inside your house.
Okay.
So they could sit in your garden, and you could, as long as you were 2 meters away from them, that was okay. But the worst thing is, he's not been able to give anybody a hug.
Do you know,
You know,
I find
it's-
it's so true, Chris, because I'm a hugger as a person. I hug people, and it's one of the biggest things that's affected me through this is that I can't hug somebody.
That's it. Yeah, you need that physical contact, that
It's
touch,
touching hearts.
just to put your arms around somebody,
Yeah.
a relative, you know, a daughter, son, you know.
My budgie is sick to death of me trying to hug him.
I know. What's his name?
Wiggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bit
Yeah.
scared.
I bet
to
he
tell you the
wiggles
truth.
when you try and hug him. Yeah.
He gets a bit nervous.
Anyway. Yeah. I'll
Anyway,
let you get
Chris,
off now, because I suppose you want to get that pianist in again. Yeah, I'm going to say he's always welcome to come and stop here.
Oh, he would love that.
And this is an open invitation, because we've got a spare shed.
We'll just lock him in there for a while.
Oh, yeah. It only locks on the outside, though. So we can lock him in.
We won't go
No,
there.
we've got a spare room. You know.
Well, thanks
And,
for that, Uncle Chris, and
Thanks
for the
so
update.
much, Chris.
It's okay. It's been a pleasure.
We'll talk to you again soon.
It's been a real pleasure. Yeah.
We'll talk to you again
I'll have
soon.
a glass of white wine
And
to celebrate.
maybe you could start breeding some penguins or some beavers.
Beavers. Yeah, there's a lot of beavers about now.
Yeah. Or hedgehogs.
No, we don't seem to have the hedgehogs now.
Right.
But we do need them. I think we do have them,
Everyone needs a hedgehog.
but we don't see them because they're nocturnal.
Oh.
You know.
Well, you'd have to go out at night and look for them.
There's
Yeah,
no point
yeah,
going
yeah.
out during the day. Well, thanks for that.
Thanks, Chris. Take care, mate.
We'll see you again
Okay.
soon.
Yeah, see you again soon. Bye.
Good luck with the hedgehog.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
I have a gripe with Paul Reynolds. Paul Reynolds, you say? He's such a nice guy. Lovely musician. Beautiful fella. Wouldn't say a bad word about anyone. Yeah, well, all that's right. But I've heard he's been going around town. Not saying anything, just going around town. And in view of our history, I think that's provocative. My problem with Paul goes back to 2001. I always remember that year for two things. The Twin Towers tragedy and Paul Reynolds turning up at the same gig. In fact, doing the gig as I turned up. I'll never forget. Lunchtime at the Burgoon Shopping Centre. Christmas in July, Santa. No, I must admit his beard was a lot whiter than mine. Snow was on the ridge early in those days for Paul. But, lately he's been letting the side down and, I thought things had to come to a head, and they have. So I rang up Brian Davidson. You'll remember Brian, from, well, he was a rock star in Kalgoorlie and club owner and entrepreneur. But not many people know that he was a wall-classer in his early days. So I rang up Brian and said, Brian, how do you feel about doing an experiment? You've done wool on sheep and all that. How do you feel about a beard contest? And he was visibly excited. I could tell he had to put the phone down for a while. But anyway, he came back to me and he said, yeah, I've done it before. Early 90s, I went over to the States and judged a ZZ Top beard contest at the Hells Angels Festival. And he said, in fact, I fingered all of BB. I fingered all of ZZ Top. And even Frank Beard, the guy without the beard. So Brian seemed perfect for me. So we organised it. He came around, set the screen up, very conscious of, keeping his distance and everything. And I saw this hand snaking up under the curtain and Brian's little fingers working furiously and saying, are you there? Am I close? Am I getting close? Anyway, suddenly his fingers made contact with my luxurious white beard, and I could hear all these appreciative noises on the other side of the curtain. I had to stop. I said, Brian, are you all right? And he's going, oh. Anyway, it went on a bit too long for my liking, so I had to call an end to it and send him around to judge Paul's beard. Anyway, I've just received the video back of Brian's analysis of the beard thing, and he was very, very complimentary, gave me a 2 thumbs up, and I had a look at Paul's analysis, and Brian didn't say anything, he just had this look on his face. So I'll let you be the judge of that. Anyway, that's my gripe for the week, boys. Love your work.
I've been in a cave for 40 days with only a spark to light my way. I wanna give out minding my own